everyone, Joeypals here, and guess who finally has a project ready after a long period of teasing? No, it's not the team behind Kingdom Hearts 3. It's me. Today we're going to be tackling a long-promised topic, Fire Emblem Revelations, and how I'd go about improving the game. Fire Emblem Revelations is the overall 4th Fire Emblem game that I have played to completion, which is now joined by Sacred Stones, Shadows of Valentia, Path of Radiance, and Genealogy of a Holy War. Revelations, as flawed as it is a Fire Emblem game that I had plenty of fun with. You don't sink over 280 hours into something you hate after all. Pit would definitely know. Again, there are plenty of flaws in the game that I would like to address in my own way, rewriting the entire story from the ground up. Some of the concepts may stick around, but for the most part this is me taking what's there and rewriting it. I want to stress now that this won't be a general topic video where I discuss concepts that need to be improved, a la Blazing Knight in his videos on how to improve Fire Emblem Birthright and Awakening, which you should totally check out with this little eye pop-up over here, but instead rewriting the entire story from start to finish. Grab something to snack on and enjoy yourself. We're gonna be here a while. Before we begin with the chapters, I should probably know a few mechanics that have been updated. Let's start with supports. In this version of Revelations, Scarlet is able to support with Ryoma, Reina can support with Orochi, Flora can support with both Felicia and Jacob, and Shura can support with Niles. Speaking of Niles, gay marriage has been expanded a bit to give you 2 options per gender, as to give a player at least some choice. Revelations now has a gay character and a bisexual character, with the gay character being able to marry both the bisexual character and the avatar, while the bisexual character still has their usual options, plus the gay character and the avatar. These characters will be displayed on screen now. You'll notice a new character in these images, Kain. Who might be Kain, you're asking? Kain is one of the new children in my game, being the son of Elise. All the princesses now have their own children. Starting with Kain, he's very closed off into himself, pouring most of his efforts into his books, being very much like Leo, but with a colder edge. He has a love-hate relationship with Shiro, secretly liking him. Kain starts as a dark mage. Next, there's Wynn, Camilla's son, and bringing plenty of fan service with him. He's a Wyvern Knight that's shirtless and loves flexing his muscles all over the place. He also likes hanging out with Shiro and loves scaring the absolute shit out of Hanoka. Who might be Hanoka, you're wondering? Hanoka, despite how it sounds, is Sakura's daughter. Just like Sakura, Hanoka is very shy, though this is mostly due to a lack of confidence in her own skills. She loves playing the piano and has a large obsession with flowers. She starts off as a shrine maiden. Finally, there's Hinoka, who is named Sora. Sora is basically the exact opposite of Hinoka, being very flighty, ditzy, and carefree. She starts off as a Pegasus Knight and has taken a particular interest in Valoria, meeting her on one of her flying trips. The princesses, which are Camilla, Hinoka, Elise, and Sakura, also get legendary weapons of their own, but we'll cross that bridge soon enough. Finally, Asugi, Kaeldori, and Rajat have all been redesigned and renamed. Asugi is now named Hidaki, Kaeldori is now named Hotaru, and Rajat is now named Tsukiko. All the original artwork has been done by all sorts of artists on the Fire Emblem Amino, and most of the original supports, which will be getting their own videos, have been done by Defog Gap, also from the Fire Emblem Amino. Now, with all that out of the way, we have some story to tackle. Time to tackle Revelations in a brand new light. Let's start at the beginning. The prologue, Ties That Bind. In this chapter, you learn the mechanics of the game and get a massive foreshadowing of Chapter 6. For this chapter, I wouldn't really change anything for Revelations, but there is something I would change for Birthright and Conquest. As you can see here in the bottom left corner, there are a whole bunch of characters you can recruit in Conquest and Birthright, including Arthur, Effie, Baruka, Niles, Keaton, Perry, Rinka, and more. While some of the characters make sense, characters like Keaton and Benny, who aren't retainers, have no business being on the battlefield. What I would do for Birthright and Conquest is make the enemies in the bottom left generic enemies, as to mask the identities of characters you haven't met yet, to preserve the excitement of, ooh, new characters! Otherwise, this chapter is fine, and I wouldn't really change much. Moving into Chapter 1, we have Nor. In Nor, you have a one-on-one battle with Xander, being another mechanics learning chapter with a healing tile in place thanks to the Dragon Vein. This chapter is a pretty boring chapter that'll be over in a blink of an eye, so I'd spruce it up by giving it a bigger meaning than, oh, this is what a Dragon Vein is, and this is what a healing tile does. As we know, Xander's mother is dead somewhere. In his dialogue, we could explain that the reason why he trains as hard as he fights is to, quote, make sure nothing like what happened to his mother happens to anyone else in his family. Enough to raise eyebrows and keep you interested in the story coming up. It'd just be foreshadowing, but important foreshadowing. Next up is Chapter 2, Gift of Ganglari. In this chapter, you are tasked with executing 6 prisoners that Garen rounded up, including Kaze and Rinka. This is another basic chapter, so I wouldn't change much, but to counterpoint with what Xander said, if Korin battles Kaze or Rinka, they can both bring up dialogue about Garen's atrocities against Hoshido, leaving a very strong sense of moral gray. Who's right and who's wrong? Who's good and who's bad? Just with a minor tweak of dialogue, you can make this chapter a much bigger chapter than the application for Dragon Veins that it is. Then there's Chapter 3, Journey Begins, where Garen sends Korin to possibly die taking over a border fortress, and ensuring combat ensues by having Hans kill a Hoshidan before the chapter begins. This is actually one of the chapters done right in my opinion, making things clear that Hoshido and Nor are at very high odds with each other without giving anything away. If you make the edits in Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, the tension here becomes much more intense, and thus would be retroactively improved by those before it. Chapter 4, Hoshido. Very creative title, I know. Focuses on Sakura and Hinoka not being able to escape from some faceless because Sakura sprained her ankle. Okay, so this one we're completely rewriting because knowing mountains or not, Sakura not being able to leave because she sprained her ankle when Hinoka has a Pegasus is completely and utterly stupid. We just need to change the injury from Sakura's leg to a Pegasus leg for things to make much more sense. Is it sad for Pegasus? Yeah, but it's also realistic. This will allow Hinoka to perform in the Spear Masterclass, which for her is basically an unmounted Pegasus Knight because yes, in my rewrite, unmounting and remounting your steed exists, like in Thracia 776. Hinoka's butt isn't super glued to that Pegasus, so she should be fine. If you set up a point of conflict to be the two being unable to escape due to Hinoka's Pegasus being injured and still leave Hinoka to defend Sakura while you race towards her, you at least have a sensible, if not silly, introduction to 2 minor princesses in the original story. More on those 2 later though. Next up we have Mother, Chapter 5 and better known as Anime Cliché 726. In this chapter, Makoto dies and, for some reason, because you turn into a dragon over rage of losing your mother, you're somehow able to see the truth about Nor. However, who's to say Hoshido is all that pretty? Beauty doesn't exist without blood in the shadows, so in my version of Revelations, a cutscene would play showing a tragic story that would tie so many things together, and would also be played in Conquest instead of the Garen's an asshole cutscene. In this cutscene, you'll see a blonde lady and man eating dinner when a sword wielder slams through the door and towards the woman. Without a moment's thought, the man picks up the sword behind him and slams it into the man's chest before he can reach his wife, a son peeking his head out and hugging his mom and dad after the attack. Some time passes and the woman is doing business in Hoshido as they have plenty of natural goods. The man decides to visit the woman, but is forbidden entrance due to Makoto's magical barrier, which prevents anyone who has done anything she has deemed wrong from entering the kingdom, regardless of circumstance. He still tries to force his way in, at which point Hoshidan archers, led by a very young Takumi, take out the man. The wife is later taken to a secret chamber in the capital under the guise of business and is killed off, with her body later being dragged back to Nor. With both cutscenes playing in Revelations, Korin needs to choose a side in Chapter 6, and because of the atrocities in both kingdoms and the fact that it's Revelations, Korin sides with no one, then leaving the map quickly with only Azora and Felicia or Jacob in tow, Silas following behind after getting word from Nor. With Corrin and his small band of miscreants running away, they eventually arrive at the bottomless canyon in Chapter 7, where, just like in the original storyline, Azora tries to convince the group to jump down the hole, where, as we know, Gunter fell after Hans backstabbed the group. In the original line, Corrin and the gang eventually agree because they trust Azora, but in this line, Corrin does not trust Azora completely yet, and therefore does not jump into the canyon. While Corrin tries coming up with a plan of escape that doesn't involve everyone swan dining off a rickety bridge, one of the royals catches up to Corrin, Takumi. Despite being cold and icy towards Corrin earlier, he actually cared about Corrin, but did not want to show weakness, and therefore is pretty pissed off after Corrin left everyone. Before Corrin can explain, Takumi leads an assault on the group with Oboro, Hinata, and a group of soldiers in tow. At the end of a battle, Takumi falls into the bottomless canyon, and if you land the finishing blow with either Corrin or Azora, your team will also fall into the bottomless canyon. Oboro, Hinata, also in tow. This will unlock a bonus chapter, 7X. If you land the finishing blow with anyone else, only Takumi will fall into the canyon. Oboro will be devastated, and Hinata will become absolutely furious, neither joining Corrin until much, much later. In what I dub 7X, Takumi, Corrin, and everyone else so far is lying at the bottom of a bottomless canyon. While Takumi does try to kill Corrin upon becoming conscious again, Azora stops him from attacking with a quick whack behind the head with her lance. Once Takumi comes to and he's calm, Azora begins to explain the atrocities of Anankos from long ago, and what Vala actually was, including the curse. Her memories aren't as clear as they were in the Nintendo version, but the gist is still there. After listening to Azora, Takumi is still pissy with Corrin, but decides to fight for Azora, with Oboro and Hinata taking up their arms alongside their lord. Before they could do much though, a swarm of faceless, Valite copies of basic army units and a few classic monsters, Wights, Moguls, and Bales, descend upon the group. The group eventually takes down the monsters and finishes combat with a Valite copy of Takumi being the final enemy. And after Azora reveals how she left Vala in the first place, and re-stresses how the group cannot mention this place, the game progresses into Chapter 8. Upon reaching the surface in Chapter 8, the group immediately agrees to go somewhere neutral so they can discuss everything safely. The place where the group goes depends on whether or not you played 7X. If you played 7X, Takumi will remember Azana for his bizarre hair and personality, and the group will travel to Izumo to plan out their course of action. If you did not play 7X, Azora will remember the dance hall of Nestra, and the group will go there. Regardless of where you go, Zola will be waiting for you, with Azana being dead if you recruited Takumi, and Layla being dead if you haven't. During this chapter, you'll notice something quite different about Zola, being much more like Iago in nature, but much, much darker and sinister. Eventually, in both maps, where your task is to seize the throne, aka where Zola is controlling the Norian soldiers, you will be given a choice whether or not you wish to kill Zola. If you kill Zola, it becomes harder to recruit the softer royals, Sakura and Elise, later down the line, while gaining information now that Zola was controlled by, quote, the evil one of that alternate world. If you choose not to kill Zola, the more duty-bound royals, Ryoma and Xander, will be harder to recruit later, while Zola makes a quick getaway back to Garen's chambers. Whichever decision you make, Azora will use the behavior Zola exhibited to help determine who's really them and who's really not, down the line. In Chapter 9, the group will make their way towards either Chev or Fort Jinya. Chev if you've recruited Takumi by this point, and Fort Jinya if you haven't. In the Chev portion, the Chevoi are sparking a rebellion with Ryoma and Scarlet leading the way against Hans's and Iago's efforts, while Fort Jinya is being attacked by Camilla and her retainers with Sakura inside, Camilla attacking purely under Garen's orders. Focusing first on the Chev portion, Kaze will join the team automatically after realizing Kagero and Saizo are in danger but unreachable. Also, should the player had not chosen to kill Zola, in order to recruit Ryoma on this path, Ryoma, Kagero, Saizo, and Scarlet all must live. If a player chose to kill Zola, Ryoma will be positioned closer to Corrin, and all the player needs to do is talk to Ryoma with Corrin, Azora, or Takumi. If you are in the chef portion of this part of the game, Ryoma and Scarlet will be classed appropriately. In order to clear this map, the player must seize 3 points on a much larger map, with one being controlled by a Valite copy of Ryoma, while the other 2 points are held down by Iago and Hans. Players will need to tread carefully, as Iago's section has spiral rolling, and makes it easy for him to attack the player in safety, while Hans and Ryoma will be guarded by both archers and Guili. Once the player clears the chapter, appropriate dialogue depending on if full recruitment was successful or not will come up, followed by Azora adding additional pressure to bring everyone together before things completely fall apart. Moving over to the Fort Jinya portion, Rinka will be the one to automatically join, realizing she needs help even after taking a few enemies down. In this much larger Fort Jinya, the same objective stands: seize the 3 points. Although this time your enemies are almost all monsters, including the 3 bosses, which are an Entombed, a Faceless, and a Death Goyle, with additional enemies consisting of Camilla, her retainers, Gorgons, Revenants, Gargoyles. In the back of the main area will be Hana, Tsubaki, and Sakura, all 3 of which you can recruit differently depending on if you killed Zola or not. If you killed Zola, the only way you can recruit all 3 units is if Sakura is at full health by chapter's end. If you did not kill Zola, all you need to do is talk to Sakura with Azora because, let's be honest, Sakura was very little when Corrin was taken. There's no reason why she should know him that well. As far as Camilla and her retainers go, you can recruit Camilla and simultaneously the rest after talking to Camilla on turns after she kills an enemy. She won't be that strong, but strong enough to take down a few before going down herself, so caution should be used. Considering Camilla and Sakura's group are in different sections of the map, you will need to strategize carefully in order to gain all 4 units. Also of note is that new weapons will be in both Sakura's and Camilla's arsenal. Sakura will be holding a scroll named Terasupaku, a scroll she cannot use until she promotes, but will heal surrounding allies by 20% after use, whilst lowering the resistance of enemies within free spaces by 4, as well as lowering their movement to 1. Meanwhile, Camilla will be holding an axe named Creamhild, a mighty axe that will never double but will do +6 damage upon initiating the attack, and will have a built-in Luna effect. After completing the Fort Jinya chapter, as well as the Nestor chapter, the group will make their way to the Ice Tribe in search of knowledge of Garen's past, as well as pasts of both Nor and Hoshido. And with that, that is the end of part 1 of the Fire Emblem Revelations rewrite. We have a whole bunch more to go. There's going to be about 6-7 more parts versus a total of 40 chapters, sub-chapters. The whole shebang is getting thrown into this. I'm sorry that it took nearly as long as it did to get another Fire Emblem video ready. In fact, it's almost been an entire year since the last one. Long story short, I had a whole bunch of personal hurdles that I had to go over, a whole bunch of drama with people that don't even deserve my time at this point. And you know what? We are here. We are coming back in full force. We're doing Fire Emblem, Pokemon, Kid Icarus, all sorts of fun stuff that I've wanted to explore for ages, and I am excited. We're doing Let's Plays, Top 10s, all the fun stuff. If any of that interests you, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We're getting really, really close to that 500 subscriber mark, which is exciting. Go ahead and leave a like. Go ahead and leave a comment down below of what you thought of this part. The next part should be coming out in about a week and a half, 2 weeks from now, depending on when I'm available to edit and whatnot, because, you know, I got my jobs and all that. So, again, thank you guys for watching, and until next time, feel free to check me out on any of my other social media as well. I have Twitter, I have Discord, I have Patreon, I have Twitch. Literally anywhere where you think you might find me, I am around. Alright, thank you guys for stopping by, and until next time, this is Joeypals, signing out. See ya!